on. This is live. This is live. Welcome to the Indie Pod Podcast. I'm your host. Oh, this is busy. This is the second time this week that I have messed up the branding in the top right hand corner of your screen. But this is the Indie Pod Podcast, and I'm your host, Super Joe Pardo. And this week I have a guest that I am looking forward to talking to, learning from. We're going to talk about opportunities in podcasting, that especially now that we're in this crazy upside down world called the coronavirus world, where everything that we thought we knew is on hold basically and on pause. If you're watching this live on Facebook Live, pop in the chat where you're listening from. If you're not watching this live, if you're listening to this after the fact and as a podcast on indiepodcon.com, go and join us every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Wednesday night. It's so good to see everybody. What's up, Dave? How you been, man? It's been like 2 years since I saw you. Now that I'm thinking about, it's getting close to 2 years since I seen you in person, met you in person. But I hope you're doing well and safe. I hope everybody's families are safe and not sick, though I have been seeing more and more coronavirus situations pop up in my Facebook feed, which I am not very happy to see, though I did see at least one or two people that were able to get out from under it, so that is positive. If you're dealing with that, I'm very sorry, and I hope that you recover very quickly. Before I get into the opportunities that are available to you in the podcasting biz and the radio world, with our guest tonight, I gotta give a shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Podbean. Podbean is an easy and powerful way to start podcasting. They give you all the tools you need for a successful podcast, such as unlimited podcast hosting, not unlimited, podcast distribution, monetization options for podcasts of any size, and live stream podcasting capabilities. Sign up today at www.podbean.com. That's podbean.com. All right, so let's talk about the podcasting and radio businesses with our guest today. I need you all to give a big, warm welcome wherever you are, on the couch, in your bedroom, in the bathroom, sitting in your garage like I am. Give it up for Gene Pierro. Woo! Welcome, Gene.
Hey, how you doing, guys? How you doing, Joe? Thanks for. It's a pleasure being here. By the way, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, for anyone who doesn't know Eugene, or not Eugene, but you, Gene, and Hamilton Radio, why don't you give everybody a earful there?
Oh, sure. Hamilton Radio was established in 1996-97, and we've been around almost 20-some years. And we've been in broadcasting since then. And basically, we take a person that either has broadcast experience or doesn't have broadcast experience and create something from them, or help create whatever they started and add to it. We are a media broadcasting forum where we do music, talk, and comedy. We allow a lot of the stuff that regular radio doesn't allow. But we also are a quick network. So we're a lot of different things in one area. And I love doing what I do. I just love the opportunity to take today and tell people, listen, if you've never been a podcaster or have never been a radio show host, today is your opportunity to get involved with either one or the other. They're both burning up. They're burning up. Celebrities are doing it everywhere. Hamilton Radio is exploding as far as podcasts are concerned, because I think the podcasts are going to be outnumbering the radio shows since we have this issue. But like I tell everybody, Joe, don't let it get you down, because the thing is, we have to find other ways to, when there's something in our way, we go around it. It's an obstacle. We go over it, we go around it, or under it. But we just, if you can't go through it, that's what you have to do. You have to find another way to go. And I think that's what we do in this radio community and podcast community, because I think they're both coincide with one another. What do you think?
I would agree. Dave is saying that your volume is a little low. Is he saying Hamilton Radio? He is saying Hamilton Radio. For the people at home, what's the website for them to go check that out after they're done listening or watching this?
Yeah, by the way, we're live on Help the Radio too. I put us up on Help the
Oh.
Radio channel once. We're live too. But yeah, it's hamiltonradio.net. That's basically the website. We've interviewed a lot of celebrities, and we're very big in the industry. We've as far as concerned, we are the number one radio station in New Jersey for going into 10 years on some websites like FM Radio Guide and a couple other websites. We've been nominated for different awards here and there, as I told you in the past. So I'm happy and proud of that. I'm trying to speak a little bit louder if that helps.
I think it does. Yeah, I think it was. Well, it's also because it gets kind of muddled if there's any sound coming out of your phone from me, as we were talking about before, where it's like trying to like limit the feedback loop from happening. But it's all good. It's all good. So in my opinion, we are. Oh, there you go, Dave. HamiltonRadio.net. Thank you for popping that in the chat. So we we are definitely more at a crossroads. I think that we've been kind of there for I would say at least 2 years. I mean, when I listen to sports talk radio here in Philly, they say the word podcast at least 1 to 3 times an hour, whether it's in commercials or, hey, we got this, sports analyzer on, and he's got, his show is called blah, 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 blah. And you should totally go listen to it. Or, Go Birds Radio, which is also Go Birds podcast, which it's the same crew, just not doing it on the radio. They're doing it in their podcast form. So yeah, I think that, the barrier to entry is really low if you have any kind of technical background, and even if you don't at this point. I mean, things like Anchor kind of like is as simple as turning on your phone and like, now I'm doing a podcast. I mean, it's super closed loop, and I would probably not recommend doing it that way. But when it comes to opportunities to get the reps in, as a kid who would tape record himself with his friends, and because we didn't have video cameras at the time, this is leaps and bounds easier than it ever was.
This is how it starts, doesn't it? Because as a kid, I did the same thing. You listen to your voice, and then you hear some playbacks, and then you maybe do some voices, and you try this and you try that, and then eventually you either get into this or get into another career. Some of us get into other careers and then come back to this. Some of us do this and then go into other careers and then come back to it again. But listen, once it's in your system, it never leaves you. I have a good friend now that's actually a podcaster too. His name is John Taffer. He does Bar Rescue, and if you've ever seen Bar Rescue is an awesome show. He takes these bars that are dying and he just creates a great reality TV show from it. Now, a lot of it's scripted. I understand that, but he does a lot of great stuff. And John is a great guy, which just started a podcast probably not more than a month ago. I hadn't heard that he started a podcast, but I'm honestly not surprised, especially if it was within a month ago when things started to go into lockdown. Like, he can't create his awesome TV shows. So it's a thing that you should probably look at doing if you're, trying to create content and foster a community around which he has, right? A huge fan base of. So, yeah, and it's easy. It's to me, I mean, unless you're a big time writer, like, it's easier to just turn on the microphone and just start talking, right? Than it is to like start writing a blog post and then like, have somebody edit it and all that. Like, I mean, you still might have somebody edit your podcast. It depends on how how in depth you want to get with it. In this case, we're live, so but it's just, yeah, I'm really, I think that it's a really great time. It's been a great time, and it's only gotten easier to do like things like this, right? Where we're talking 2 cameras. I got the scrolling stuff at the bottom. I can, Michael, what's going on? Yeah, I didn't have a video camera until, I think we had one in the house, and I've used it like once or twice, but it was not because I couldn't edit the footage like I now, right? Like I could take footage from my phone or one of my Canon cameras, drop it right into my laptop, and just start editing and playing around with it and dropping other video clips and stuff. So the barrier to entry was still higher, even to have our tape recorder, right? Because
you had to have the recorder and you had to have a tape that was still good, and as a kid, it wasn't always a thing that you could have, I had access to. So, yeah, so I and you're absolutely right about more and more celebrities getting into this. I think that it helps in a lot of ways get more people to be knowledgeable about podcasts in general, and kind of legitimizes the fact that, like, you don't just go and turn on the radio, or you just don't click on the TV and boom, it's there for you. Like, you have to work for it a little bit, but once you get there, like, it's there. Like, you just work it into your thing. But yeah.
But what I love about radio shows and podcasts, though, Joe, I'll be honest with you, is it takes you away from the reality of what's going on outside now. I mean, if you turn on regular media, that's all you hear is about the coronavirus. We're not talking about that, right? We're talking about how to create opportunities within that environment, but at the same time, create another reality for other people so they don't have to hear about it for an hour, and then just kick back and relax and just enjoy what we have to say and our camaraderie that we talk about, and the people that we meet and the people that we're going to talk to, things we're going to be doing maybe in the summer, or even if it's near winter, it doesn't really matter. The point is, we're going to keep on going, right? We're not going to stop, and we're going to include other people getting involved.
Yeah. No, absolutely. This is, being able to do it virtually. I mean, going back to 2005, I mean, 2004, even one of my favorite podcasts, they were all doing it, like, using Skype and make, they all sounded like they were together, but they were all in like 4 different states and, things like that. So it's like I said, it's come a long way. Now let's move on to, like, the opportunities that there are right now. So, I mean, podcasting, see, to me, like, when I think of radio in, like, a traditional sense, I think of mostly people that are in the radio biz, and, like, that's their, like, profession to be in the radio biz, versus, like, podcasting, where it's like it could be, the fuel on the fire that is your regular, your other business. It doesn't have to be like, I'm a professional podcaster, like, I'm a professional radio guy. But I know once you step out of the, like, mainstream media companies of radio DJs and radio personalities, it's a much different world that some people might not even realize. So if you want to dive into that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can elaborate and also do a comparison, because what we're doing in the radio world is basically similar, like I said, to the podcast world. So, we're updating technology all the time, and technology is actually being a lot better for us and better for you, better for the new people getting aboard. And the opportunities are endless, because you can virtually start a free podcast or a free radio show with anybody around. Anywhere. You have to just look. You have to look for the opportunities, and then you have to be ready to do something. I tell people all the time, come up with an idea. If you don't have an idea and somebody's already doing it, do the same idea, but elaborate it in a different way, or change something around. Don't try to be unique. People love uniqueness, right? They love the idea that you bring celebrities on, but you don't ask them the same stupid questions over and over. How you doing? How's the family? Let's ask a little bit different questions, like, are you going to be touring? Are you playing any other instruments on the tour? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And try to be different than everybody else that asks the same questions. So uniqueness is a bond that you have with radio, and a bond you have with podcasting, and it gives you so many opportunities. Being on different platforms and different times and we've got tons and tons of friends that are influencers, right? So a podcaster only has to start a show. They only have to start a show. And if they get somebody that really likes them, it's an influencer, that's all they really got to do. The influencer will do all the work for you. So basically, they're your advertising budget. They're your people that are doing what they're doing anyway, and you just buy into them, or they buy into you. I mean, the opportunities are endless right now. I have a lot of friends that, because of the situation, are going to be losing the radio stations. And it's a sad thing, but I told them, all right, guys, you're still going to be doing your radio show. Are you still going to be doing your podcast? And you know what their answer is? Absolutely yes. So I said, well, then, you know what? Why don't you bring your podcast or radio show over to me? See, I get all the opportunities because, unfortunately, when they fail of their whatever problem it is, I'm still going. And as long as I'm still going, there's a place for me to put them. They already got a fan base. They already got people that like them. And now we'll just bring them over to Hamilton Radio and make them like them more. And also get my fan base and my people. And now probably we'll like them as well. So there's a great ideological place right now where we are. Because even though this thing is around us and bothering us, it shouldn't make us complacent. It shouldn't stop us from what we're doing. It should actually motivate us and say, you know what? This is good enough. We need to do more. We need to do this. I mean, have you ever been motivated by somebody that says, that isn't enough? You need to do more. Well, that's what you need to do. You need to think about that and say, like when I talked to you, Joe, a while ago, I said, you need to do more. And you're doing it. You're proving to me and other people that people can do it, but they just got to have the on-site knowledge to do it. And they have to have the mindset to do it. A lot of my friends write books on mindset, which changes the mind in particular to business, because the business mindset is totally different than just a person that wants to do a show every day. If you want to do a show every day, great. If you want to do a podcast every day, great. But the thing is, do you want to take it any further? If you don't, that's great, but that's up to you. That's your choice. We want to see people excel. We want to see people expire and go higher and try to do more for themselves. I want to see people explode, and that's what I try to bring out, the explosion in them, because everybody has that inside them. They just don't reach down inside for it. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about any type of manipulation of anything other than themselves to excel themselves more. And that's part of motivation. And that's the way business motivates another business. Because when you do good, you want others to do good. Because when they do good, everybody does good. And of course, now you all reap the benefits. The benefits could be anything. It could be an award. It could be, you know what I'm talking about, right? It could be a lot of different things. So we have to reach out for them ideas. And what I think happens with a lot of radio shows and radio show hosts and stations and stuff, they get too complacent. They don't realize that a lot of people have the ability to change a lot of people's lives, but don't give them that chance. I give them that chance. And just like you are tonight with me, you're giving me a chance to explain to people that this is the way we do business, right? This is how any business should do business. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's. Look, I think that this is for podcasting. Radio is for anybody who's willing to put in the reps, right? Because like the first question that a lot of people want to ask is like, how much money do I make from this? And the first question you really need to ask is, how do I get good at this? To quote D. Dave Jackson, it's really about how can you put in the reps to get to learn how to talk on the mic, how to get to learn to work on camera, how to get to learn how to be able to ask the question, focus on what your guest's response is, and look at the comments on the side, and know when it's time to click the next banner to roll over to tell everybody to subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Indie PodCon, right? So it's things like that you're only going to get by putting in the reps and putting in the time. But I think there's a lot to be said for also like the preparation of the show, right? And even in yourself, like if you're trying to run your own business, right? And you're like, podcasting might be a way for me to help grow my existing customer base into like raving fans and make them feel like really connected to what I'm offering. That sounds awesome, but at the same time, like you need to prepare yourself for, figuring out what your show is going to look like and being able to show up every single week and not give up after, it's the same thing as like social media, right? Don't open up 20 accounts on 20 different social media platforms and then like post one thing and then never post again on it. Like either post nothing and just secure the name, or don't bother. You know what I mean? Like find one that works for you. So you really gotta be willing to put in the reps and learn, how to work with people. It takes time. I mean, I'm 6 years into this and I still don't feel like I'm that great at it. So it's
right. Nothing's easy. Nothing is easy.
No.
If you don't put the time into it, it's not going to work out for you. But you got to, I read a lot of handicapped people, and a lot of times they'll say, "Oh my God, I'm handicapped. I can't do it." I said, "Why can't you do it? What is the problem?" I said,
Oh.
I have epilepsy, and I sometimes stutter, but I don't let that bother me. I don't let that get me down. I have a bad back. I don't let that bother me. I still do what I have to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have plenty of friends in the podcasting space that have disabilities. When Charles Maxwell Ivy, Daniel Coulter, I'm gonna miss some. There's some other names I'm missing, but the point being is that they find a way to do it. And if and as Max says, like, if I can do it as blind as as literally blind, what's your excuse, as his show says? So yeah, the excuse, I think, is, I mean, it's easy to come up with excuses, right? Let's see. Do you need to, Anita says, do you need to delete if on the first videos have no viewers? I assume you're talking about, like, if you were posting to, say, YouTube or something like that, or to Facebook. I mean, I'll start. I do not feel that you should delete any of the videos. I mean, unless it's like really, really, really bad and you never actually release it, save it. Don't delete it. But you don't have to necessarily release it. That's really up to you. But I would say leave it open, because at some point, like a year from now, 2 years from now, someone's going to become such a raving fan that they're going to go back through your catalog, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, like, I never saw this video before. Or if it's 5 years later, they will have a really hard time scrolling back to find that. And when they do, they'll be pleasantly surprised. Plus, you'll have fodder for yourself to be like, hey, listen to how bad I was on my first podcast, when you think that you can't do it. What do you think, Gene?
No, I agree with you. I could take a message from when we talked to Stone Cold Steve Austin from the World Wrestling Entertainment Organization. And he said when he got into podcasting, he didn't even know if he could do it, but he knew he could do ring work. He didn't know he could do podcasting. He says, "Man, this stuff is easy, man." He said, "I don't have a problem doing it." He was like such a great guy. And then we told him, you should tag all your videos and tag all your audios and make sure that people know that you're on them. He's like, "I never thought about that. It was supposed to be up to my producer, but sometimes people don't think." And you're right. If you don't tag the videos, and if you don't tag any of the audios that you do, whether it's on Spreaker, any podcast company, or any type of business that you do, nobody's going to be able to find you. So that's the thing. That's why tags are so important when you do a video, because I can't emphasize enough that if you don't tag anything, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So always tag at least 2 or 3 tags and try to make them general, but always include the celebrity that's involved in the tag. You don't have to include yourself so much, but the celebrity, the name of the show, and maybe whatever else you want. I mean, they give you like up to 10 tags, right? So you can play with it, and you can also go in and edit it later on too. But you want to make sure you at least give them 3 tags in. I agree.
Yeah, what the other thing is none of your videos should have no views, because you should at least go watch your video at least once to give it, for 10 seconds to give it a view. So then you don't have any videos with no views. You got at least 1 view, and that should be enough. And your mom and your dad should probably go watch it too. So like that should give you at least 3 views right there. And then you don't have any views with no viewers.
Well, right now, I'll just let you know that we're on Help with the Radio. I've looked it up. We're at 151 recent cities and 23 countries all over the world. So that means that's over 42 million people that are listening right now.
To this jibber jabber that I'm doing right here.
To this podcast right now. Yep. on cell phones, iPhones, apps, website links. We're also on TuneIn, so people can listen to us on on Alexa, Google. We're on Roku. There's a lot of different places, and we're also on CFTV TV for the Christian Family TV Network. We have our own channel on there, which my good friend Eric down in South Jersey gave us, which is a great guy, and I love Eric. He's an awesome person, and he saw the volume of people that we were getting. He just wanted to jump aboard and work with us, and I love that. I love people, like I said, I love people that see what you're doing and are inspired by you and want to do more and help you and help themselves at the same time. That's what I call helping hands. I call that helping businesses, helping each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anita says, thank you. Tagging will not annoy people. Most people dislike being tagged. So we were talking about tags like hashtag motivational tips or hashtag inspiration or hashtag business marketing or something to that effect. Tagging people, I
don't do that. I don't do that.
It gets old for people real quick. Yeah. There's only one person I let do that for me, and that's because he's blind. And that's Max.
That's understandable. So what I wanted to say was too, with the podcast and radio show, we have the same type of issues. Where do we promote it? Do we promote it all on Facebook? Do we promote some on YouTube? Do we promote some on Instagram? Do we promote some on Twitter? Do we, or do you promote every different angle that you can think of? And then of course, then you promote all the groups on Facebook, and then you've got, friends on Twitter. And I mean, it's endless. So what we have to do is we have to streamline where we think the most people that will be receptive to what we're putting out there. And it's whether it's music groups or talk groups or whatever. The point is, it's got to correspond to what their guidelines are. And it's very important to get their guidelines, because if they don't allow you on there and they don't allow you to post it, don't even join the groups. I tell people that all the time. Don't waste your time posting the groups if you're going to get turned down, if they're going to turn you in, if there's going to be a problem. So don't even bother. But people still do it, and they get banned.
Yeah, I mean, like in the Indie podcast group, or Indie podcasters group, we run into that quite a bit, and it's hard. I'll say we'll come back to your question in a minute or two there, Michael. I'll say it's a real big pain in the butt, because I feel bad removing posts and having to explain, like, hey, there's no self-promotion. And I've gotten some pushback over time, like, well, what's the point of the group if you can't promote? And like, yeah, I get it, but we do post for like self-promotion in that. And some groups are fine with it. There's some groups are all right with it. But the thing is like, especially when you're in a group for other podcasters, promoting your podcast is probably not super relevant to other podcasters unless it is. In which case, like, reach out to me, let me know, and then I can approve it for you. You say, oh, it was an admin approved post, because it was relevant to podcasters, it was relevant to what's going on in the world. It's not just some auto shared thing that you just were like, I'm gonna have this auto shared to every group I belong to because everybody should know what I'm doing. And it's like, well, this isn't your group to do that with, So I feel like a jerk sometimes doing it, and there's sometimes where I'm like, it's like so borderline that I'm like, but if I let it go now, then like I feel bad for the person that comes next and does it, and I don't look the other way. So it puts me in a difficult position, because I don't like to be in that position, but it's a position I found myself in, and I'm working through it for sure.
It's funny. I try to do every radio show that we try to do. We put on Facebook, even the radio shows I do at home, which is a couple music shows. And every time I do it, of course, Facebook either mutes it or shuts it off. So like the question is, why do I even bother? So I bother to do it for the radio people that listen, not for the people on Facebook. I got to emphasize that to people all the time. I don't do the show on Facebook. I do the show on the radio. If you want to hear it, you can hear it on the radio. I don't do it live, only on Facebook when they allow me to. That's it. I can't. Other than that, I can't do anything. I don't own Facebook.
Well, yeah, right, and Facebook is a pain. I mean, like, I've been DJing the last like week, after like dusting off the turntables, and first time in like 2 years. So for me, like, I could get about 30 minutes in before it cuts me off, and then I have to start up a new. Like, for me, it's easy. Like, I just hit the button OBS, like stop stream, restream. Boom, it's back on. But I have to run like my iPad running the live stream, so I know when it shuts off, because otherwise all I see is like my DJ software. I ain't seeing, and I'm not going to flick back and forth to check. So it is really frustrating, especially when there's some DJs that I'm friends with that like never seem to have a problem. Like my one friend, Mike Donardo, shout out to Mike. You know, he'll DJ for 2-3 hours on there and not have a single problem. And I'm wondering if it's because he's using a lot of remixed versions of songs, so maybe they're not. It's not like the algorithm isn't picking it up. I'm not sure, but like I said, at least I get about 30 minutes, so like I'm okay with that. It's not the end of the world. At least it's not like 5 minutes, like YouTube would pick it up in like way less time than Facebook seems to be worried about it.
I think YouTube is a lot more less.
Now, yeah. But all right. So in my mind is thinking back like 5 years ago, where they were like, "Hey, you're playing this music, like it shuts it down, shut you off, you know, right away."
Reverse, really, because YouTube, we can play pretty much anything, and they won't say anything because I think they pay for all the rights, like an umbrella type policy for all the rights, where Facebook only pays for partial rights, and maybe independent artists, or I mean, I've even heard the comedians got. Some comedians that we've had, they've got shut down, not only for language, but for other people using other comedians' lines and stuff. So there's a crossover there that a lot of people don't understand. I mean, rights are rights, but when does somebody's rights affect somebody else's rights if you're just using a line or something for somebody else rather than the whole, you know what I mean, paragraph or joke or something. So there's a lot of intertwining things there that we have to be aware of, but they make up the rules as they go along. I have a friend that works at Google, and he told me Facebook makes up the rules as they go along. They don't have one set of guidelines and goals and rules. If they have a friend that they like and the person has a lot of views and they can control them, they're probably going to allow them to do that because they can make more money off the ads. Does that make sense?
I felt that way about YouTube for the longest time, because you'd see these like mashup like videos where it's like the dinosaurs TV show mashed up with like Biggie, and I'm like, well, what the heck? Like, how are they getting away with it? Oh, it's because they went viral. The video itself went viral on an account that has like 3 videos on it. And all of a sudden, like, everybody just looks the other way. But like Joe puts together a 2-hour mashup album of Disney music and hip hop instrumentals and rock instrumentals to tell the story of Up. And whoa, like everybody's claiming their rights on that video. Like that, I'm like, what the heck? Like that's crazy, like ridiculous.
Here's a good example of that. My one friend passed away, Eddie Money. He's a great musician, good artist from New York, and his kids now have their own Facebook thing, and they start playing his music, and they're shut down. His kids.
Well, does Eddie own the rights to the music, or the estate own the rights?
See, that's what I'm getting to. But they don't have as many fans as the dad had, because the dad had the 70s and 80s and the 90s, and they're only kids. And they're not under the same name as Eddie Money, but they're under the same Facebook as Eddie Money. So even celebrities' kids have a hard time because they shut them off because their father or their mother or their brother or their sister have the rights to the songs. They don't. So that's what I'm saying. You have to see that it's an advertising moneymaker for them to have the original person do it and allow them to get through it, and then other people aren't allowed to do it. That's how it works.
That is frustrating. Before we go on, normally I would be plugging the Indie podcast or Indie Podcast Conference. It's so many different variations of the Indie Pod name. Indie Podcast Conference in September 24th to the 26th, 2020, assuming that we can do it live and in person right here outside of Philadelphia. You can get your discount code IPP to get 10% off your ticket. Go to indiepodcon.com/register to do so. But like normally I would be like talking all about that event, but this week I am doing on Saturday. We did something similar 2 weekends ago, where we did the first ever virtual live indie pod conference, like independent podcast conference It was all virtual. It was 2 days long, and I hosted the thing from it was like 19 hours total. If you want to check that out, go to indiepodcon.com/virtual. It's still available for free right now, but it's also part of the Icon Lifetime Bundle virtual ticket. That's only $33 if you go to indiepodcon.com/bundle and use the offer code virtual. I had it scrolling down here below. But anyway, this Saturday, I'm hosting the free live virtual Super Entrepreneur Conference, 8 hours of learning and inspiration this Saturday over at superjoepardo.com/super. It's totally free. There's no email list to sign up for. It's being streamed on both YouTube and Facebook, so you can join the conversation just like people are joining this conversation right here, just like we're going to answer Michael's question after I get done plugging after I get done plugging this conference. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Totally live. I'll be hosting it. We have about 20 speakers from literally all over the world, from Australia to Wales to here in the in the Northeast, all the way to the West Coast. It's going to be a ton of fun. I know 2 weeks ago, everybody had such a great time. We had hundreds of people watching at any given moment. It was awesome. It was completely epic. So come join us if you're an entrepreneur, and looking for inspiration, looking on how you can turn the tide on this COVID-19 issue that you might be running into for your entrepreneurship business. This is the event to be at. It's all day Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's superjoepardo.com/super. So we have a question from Michael. He says, my podcast is just audio for now. It's weekly. It's 4 months old. I prep a lot for what I'm going to say. I admit I'm not marketing and need to get on that. When should I add video? Will I be stunted if I don't add video? Would you like to take the first stab at this, Gene?
Well, looking at it from a radio point of view, I would say that you can add the video at any time, but I would promote the video coming. The video's coming. So the video's coming the next month, and then maybe bring it in a slow movement. But then you can look at it another way and say, well, you know what? Tomorrow is another day, but let's do the video now, get it out there now so people can have that to look forward to as well as the audio. That's what I would do. I would do both at once because I take advantage of the technology today and get it up on video as well as radio and also podcasts. In fact, I would reach out to a lot of radio stations and say, hey, why don't you guys play my podcast? I'll work a deal out with you. I know I would. I mean, that's what I'm working on doing with a lot of podcasters. So technically, get it out everywhere and then bring the video to it. That's going to bring you more fans.
Yeah, I think depending on how, Michael, how you're recording your podcast right now, it might actually be super easy for you to add video. I mean, excuse me, if you're recording via a phone, I mean, the phone already has a camera built in. Like, just use the video app instead of the audio app, right? If you're recording with a microphone like I have plugged right into my computer here, adding a webcam is not a hard thing to do. So there's plenty of recording software. You get OBS, that's totally free. It requires a little bit of understanding of how to set it up, but just free guides on how to set it up, and you could get your own logo in the side like we have up here in the top right hand corner. Or you could use StreamYard. I think StreamYard, while it's free, you'll have their logo branding in the top. But I think you can get away with I think they do record. I don't know how long the recording time is. Pricing. I'm looking it up right now. So for free, blah, 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 green screen, stream anywhere. There are streaming limits. Stream up to 20 hours per month for free. But you don't need to necessarily stream. But I would say if you're comfortable with with doing it live, you could be streaming to Facebook and then download the audio right from Facebook. If they don't, I mean, I couldn't see real quick if they offered that. Let's see, GarageBand with microphone, and I have a webcam. So yeah, that's awesome. So if you're using a Mac, I wouldn't totally suggest using it. What's that? Photo Booth can record video and audio at the same time, but it records even if you have a high def camera. It records it at 480p, so it won't look very crispy. But if that's as far as your knowledge of being able to get it to go is, then I would say go for it. Like it doesn't hurt to let's see. Oh, he says I'm comfortable live. Yeah, so I would totally check out StreamYard. Like they have a free version of it. You can start streaming right to Facebook, and then you can download that video, and then you can clip it out if you want to, make 30-second clips or 10-second clips of like you saying something, and using that. Blah photo booth. I probably wouldn't recommend that. But if your tech level is like really low, then it's an option. Though at that point, I might recommend just using your phone, your phone's camera, depending on which phone you got. But yeah, so I think that you absolutely, video gives you another opportunity to share especially on social media without having to go and do like audiograms. Like I would recommend like Headliner app, Headliner.app, I think is the website, where you could take your audio and like plug it into like a, video with like a waveform kind of thing. Like that's cool, but people, want to see your face. Like that's what it's all about, right? It's like I was explaining. I forget who I was talking to the other day. It was probably like a month ago. It was probably like a month ago at this point, or 2 months ago. And I was like, websites, they all got faces on them, and she's like, I don't understand. I was like, why? I was like, well, because people want to see a face. They want to identify with somebody. So I was like, even if it's not the first thing you see at the top of the webpage, you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna find a face. Because people want to identify with faces. That's what we do as humans. So it's very helpful if you do that. And having a picture of yourself is in an audiogram is cool, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing as you recording it and clipping it. You are very welcome, Michael. Thank you for asking such a great question. So, Gene, what would you say right now? If I don't have a podcast yet, right? What's like 3 things that I should be looking to do if I don't have a podcast and I think it's something I want to do, but I haven't put the wheels to the road yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. First of all, I tell you, Google everything. I'm a Google guy. I mean, I tell people to Google. If you have an idea for something, Google it and see if somebody else had that idea or what are they doing with it. And I think that's a good place to start. Just Google what you want to do, what you're looking for as a podcast, what you're looking for as an idea, as a dream, as a goal. The funny thing about podcasts is you can pretty much say and do anything you want. It's your podcast, but you can also, and I tell this to people all the time, you can bring a general audience, which is going to give you a big mass amount of people, right, compared to a small amount of people. If you're a little bit more unique as far as language, as far as this and as far as that, you're going to lose a lot of the people right there. And so the idea is to become as big and as best you can be, and as important as you can be at this time. So you want to go for as big a bite of a sandwich type of thing, as an example, rather than a little teeny bite at a time. Because that's going to take you places. I was just going to say a little bit about that. I'll come up with the 3 things. I just want to tell you. Go ahead. You go to my website, right? HamiltonRadio.net. We got William Shatner. We've got Stephanie Courtney, which is the progressive girl. Everybody knows her. Stone Cold Steve Austin, George the Animal Steel, which is an old wrestler. Anthony Michael of Anthony Kryzan of the Spin Doctors, and Howie Mandel of The Deal and all the other shows. But what I'm saying is celebrity pictures, right? They will bring up more in Google than anything else because of their status and what they're doing. So when I say to Google that, you always want to Google that because that's always going to be the top priority of what you want to do. But the three things you basically need are the tools that we need to broadcast, which is either a phone, which you can use it today, or I always recommend a laptop. A PC is probably the best. A good microphone, headphone, USB works well. You want to try to get a great webcam. I mean, webcam cameras right now are relatively cheap, Joe. I mean, you can get a 1280p, from Logitech. I don't know how people feel about the certain ones, but I think they're all pretty much the same right now. But you want to get something that's going to, you'll be able to get a wide view on things if you need to get a wide view, but something that you can zoom in on when you need to. The way you build things is to start slow, but in this area of when you start, you got to start big or go home, because there's so many other people. The numbers are staggering of the people that think they could podcast from home and just go into this and today I'm going to podcast. They have nothing to talk about. They don't know what they're going to say, and they just go in it open-ended. And that's what you don't want to do. You want to try to have it scripted a little bit, just like Michael does, like you do and like I do. And then if you're interviewing somebody, have a couple bullet points. I always recommend maybe 5 or 10 bullet points. And if you hit them, great. If you don't, that's good too. But at least you have an idea, because you don't know where the conversation is going to go. If your interview person wants to take it to another level and talk more than you, that's great, because you want them to expand on their ideas and what they're looking to do. Maybe they got a book coming out. Maybe they got this coming out. So you always want to try to give them that sense of that you're going to let them talk about whatever they want to talk about. And at the same time, they feel comfortable. They feel warm and respected. You feel comfortable, and you're like, yeah, go ahead. This is your time. And that's what we do. That's what we do together. You do, I do it. My daughter does it, and a lot of the radio show hosts do it too. But that's what makes you successful, by letting the people know that you're there for them. And if they need to come back, you'll have them back, whatever you want to do. But the point is, be flexible with people. A lot of people in this world today are very rigid, and they don't allow you to be flexible. When you're more flexible, people will see that as a good humanitarian thing, and they will love that. And they that's why people have been with me for almost 20 years. I have some of my first listeners that have been with me almost 20 years, and I don't know any other station that could say that. Some of them still email me today. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the credibility. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And when sponsors and people hear that, they're like, I'm going with this guy. This guy's got amazing ability to reach people that a lot of other people can't, just like you, Joe. I mean, when I met you, you had that same magnetism that attracts people to listen to you. And at the same time, we have that, but we can show other people how to do it. And I think that's important too. You have to have that you have to want to have it, but you have to want to give it out too. You have to be able to give and take. And that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you. I appreciate that, and I agree that you being flexible, wanting to put the spotlight on others, I think makes a lot of sense from a show building opportunity, a networking opportunity to have a reason to talk to people in a way that you wouldn't otherwise get to talk to them. And I think that it allows you, having a show also allows you to allow your personality to come through. Like you were saying earlier about how, you can't strive to be like somebody else because it's not you, right? And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't understand how I don't really watch much TV at all, like the TV shows and things like that. I don't really consume those. I don't listen to podcasts, and I don't read books. And I've made my own TV show. I've written my own books, and I have several different podcasts that I do. But the reason I don't consume it is because I don't want to come off sounding like somebody else. It's real easy to get swept up and oh, this is what's working for them, so I need to do that same thing. I mean, even for my first show, the Dreamers podcast, the inspiration that came for that came off of somebody telling me about Entrepreneur on Fire and John Lee Dumas and what he was doing back in 2014, early 2014 at that. So I was like, well, that's cool. Like, but I listened to one episode of his show, and I've met John a couple of times. Really nice in person. He's been on my show before. But like, I listened to one episode, and I listened to it about a year and a half or 2 years after I had already started podcasting, because like I don't want to take that in and turn, to make it. Now, with that said, one of the biggest things I always tell people is like, get your personality involved, so that people can feel that, because like people are gonna be like, oh, I could listen to this show that's like your show, but I don't really care for that person, or I don't identify with that person as much as I identify with you and your personality and your quirks and how you say things. I say like, welcome everybody, like that. Those are the things that like people are going to not only gravitate towards if they are so inclined to like you and like because of that, but to like not make fun of it, but to become endearing to that. And like, I love how you say you're, my friend Steve Swanson. I love how people would come up to him and be like, can you say your email address to me? And it's me at the muppetcast.com. Like the way he says it's part of the show. It's part of him. And it makes it fun for people to listen to. Like one of my favorite podcasters, Matt Hotchberg, like the way he would mispronounce names is like a running joke, but it's because names are a hard thing to do, especially last names are like, it's linguistic gymnastics sometimes, especially when you're not familiar with the person or had no prior introduction to reading their question live on the air, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. We, as broadcasters, we've gone through that many times. I mean, I've pronounced names wrong a dozen times, but
time out. Only a dozen?
Probably a dozen. On radio years and years ago, and once you do that, you pretty much know. You pre-read either everything or you don't mention it, or you abbreviate it. And you're not trying to demean the person in any way, but you just don't want to mispronounce it and then sound like a jerk. So a lot of times we will reread things over again before we actually announce it. I know that's what we used to do on the FM radio news, where we would, pre-write the copy and listen to it and then look at it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to read this. I'm going to change this around. So that's why I say only a dozen times, because, after a few times you realize it and you don't do it anymore. It's just like, committing a sin type of thing and you're redoing it over and over again. You don't do that anymore.
See, I'm not afraid to mispronounce names and then make it like a joke, because like I'm the I can be dumb about it. It's okay to laugh at yourself.
No, but see, that's broadcasting. That's FM radio. That's a whole different animal. This is internet radio. This is internet broadcasting. This is radio podcasting. You can pretty much say and do anything, and you can make it either funny or sad or whatever, and you can still have a good time doing it. And that's what I tell people is just enjoy what you do, and it will show through. That smile that we always talk about when businesses call their businesses. If you're not smiling when you're talking, the person's not going to get that smile when you're talking. They're not going to receive it. They're not going to get that vibration. And that's what's so true with businesses. They need to understand that you have to try to always smile and make people believe that you are the best at what you do, and you do what you do, and you want other people to do it. And if you can do that, and you learn something from this podcast, you're listening to Joe and I, and you say, wow, this really makes sense. Maybe I'll try this in my business. Maybe I'll, do this with Joe, or maybe we'll do something together. What I'm here, guys. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always looking for different businesses to get involved with and new sponsors and all this stuff. So just jump aboard anytime, and we'll give them my contact info after that. But I'm just saying, the main part of this conversation here is to get something from it. Because if you don't, then it's really a waste of your time, and I don't want that to happen to anybody.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I don't want people to get anything out of that, and that's. I mean, Ty Cochran talked about this at both Indie PodCon or MapCon 5 back in September, and this past virtual Indie PodCon, and about RSS feeds and the fact that this is, there's no gatekeepers here. We control our own destinies with when it comes to podcasting, as long as we allow it, and that's why we have to be leery of like Spotify, because they become the gatekeeper if we let them. So, Gene, before we wrap up here, I just want you to like plug Hamilton Radio and how people can get in touch with you and all that. So I'm going to throw up Hamilton Radio here on the side.
Okay, yeah, thank you. It's hamiltonradio.net. Like I said, we're on a lot of different platforms. We're also on TuneIn Radio. If you get Alexa or Google, you just say, I want to hear Hamilton Radio, and from TuneIn, and you can hear the music right there. You don't have to dial or anything. We're also on, the app. We have the new app, and we have events on our app too, which I'm really happy about. The new app's got a lot of stuff on it. So we are hamiltonradio.net. I am admin, ADMIN, at hamiltonradio.net. I have 2 full radio studios right now in Robbinsville, New Jersey. We also do voiceovers. We do voiceover for businesses, for radio shows. I have some people that can do over 100 different characterizations and different words, different names, different meanings, different characters. I have women and men that do voiceovers. We do music videos. We do documentaries. We do movie films. We're going to be doing movie film reviews very soon, and doing game reviews very soon. I'm very happy to what's going on, in not disrespect to what's happening now, but I mean in the future, where we're headed, because again, I am an entrepreneur, but I'm always expanding, always moving, and never stagnant in one spot. And that's the key to a successful business. The more you expand and more you can adapt to change, the more you can change things, you'll never be looked at like, oh my God, he just sat there and he didn't do anything and he let his business die. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that happened, but Hamilton Radio has been around for over 20 years, way over 20 years. And we are still expanding. We're working with a lot of different new people coming up, and I'm very excited because when this does get back, we will be working with a lot of different companies like Recreation Concerts, which is going to bring back a lot of the 60s and 70s music artists that passed away, in a form of just watching them re-perform in culture and music and different things. And they're going to be out through New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Philly. So wherever you guys are around, Hamilton Radio is going to be involved with that. We're also going to be involved with the wrestling organization called LTW. And I'm actually going to be maybe involved a lot more ways, maybe being a host on the show, or maybe being an announcer, and maybe I get involved with some of the wrestlers. I don't know. But the point is, look, we never look back and say what we could have done. We do it. And then you look back and say, boy, I'm so glad I did it. And it's the only thing I can tell people: don't ever say never, but try it. If you like it, it works, great. Keep going with it, because that's where you should be.
I could not agree more. Are you going to be jumping in the ring? Is that what you were hinting at?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to be meeting a lot of great wrestlers. I mean, some old guys, some guys that have been around for a while, some guys that are new. I'm opening up all our opportunities. I'm 58. I'm not really an old guy. My back is healing. I could do a couple of leg drops and maybe some other things, but I can get built up again. I know someday that'll happen. I just don't know if it's the right time for me to get in the ring. I'd rather be on the outside of it, but I'm liking the way everything is going. I'm liking where everything's going and where it's moving me. And I'm just going with the flow, as we say, just flowing down the river, doing this and doing that and trying everything, and whatever works, it sticks, whatever doesn't stick. So again, I'm here for anybody that needs me. If they want to do a radio show, a podcast with me, we can do it. We can do it live from your house. There's not a big deal with that anymore. Because I think that this opened up a lot of that, which is really good for the community of ours, Joe, because now the radio stations that didn't do it will probably do it. And the radio stations that were doing it probably expand more. So there's always a good thing to look forward to. And that's the silver lining in all this. It's just that, we've become closer with our families. We've become closer with our home. And I think that we can still do this on the side, but I used to do a 3-hour show every week. And when my girls were growing up, it was a nightmare. The dogs barking, the kids screaming. And, we have a studio for that. So you don't need to do that anymore. And, we're going to modernize that and do more things with that, more web angles, more camera angles, and, more platforms are going to be on at once. So maybe you can only be on one platform at home, but you might be on 3 or 4 platforms at once live, and you can read all the information live. So there's a lot of ways you can make things work even better and faster by the technology we have.
Yeah. It's definitely gotten a lot easier in the last couple of years. We're using StreamYard, but we're streaming out to Restream and going out to 1, 2, 3, 4 Facebook areas plus YouTube, and I could go to like Twitch TV. Like, there's so many things that you can get access to. I mean, you have to understand how all this works and like put it together, and that's where somebody like you, Doc G, could fill in those blanks and like walk the people through who, like one of my good friends that works with you, right? He definitely, and he never had a radio show before. He never did it before, and he's made it just go like go. Like, it's crazy. So and that's, for anyone that's wondering, it's Troy Alexander, who is become a very good friend of mine over the years. That I had the fortune of getting to meet him at an event that I spoke at in Central Jersey. So yeah, like, and that's led me to you. So and that goes, plays right back into the networking opportunities that exist because of getting on the mic, getting in front of people, talking to people, and just making sense of the world around us through a microphone.
Absolutely. And one other thing I just got to say, I just started doing radio stations for other people. My good friend, one of my friends in, I believe, West Virginia, Smoke and Bacon, they did a Smoke and Bacon app. And I was talking to him. I said, why don't you have your own radio station? He's like, what do you mean? I said, just have your own radio station. You run the ads, you run the promos, you do everything. You can do everything on the app, and you just tell me the songs you want to play. I'll give you the information. You get in there, you change whatever you want. And if you want me to change it, I'll do it. And he's like, oh, that sounds great. So he's had his radio station for about 3 months. He's already got 30,000 listeners. And now what that does to his app, that brings 30,000 listeners now to his app to listen to the show. See? And then we're going to put the station on our app, which adds to our app too. So I look, I've got nothing but love for people out there when they see what I see. And that's take the opportunities you see today, make technology work for you. Don't work hard. Don't bust your butt out there. But the people that do, thank you for doing that. And, looking from this point on, all I can see is we're all going to be in a better place, definitely emotionally, but at the same point, family-wise. Family is important to us. Family is who we are as a dad, my 2 daughters, my wife, and people don't understand. When you have family and you have your health and you have money, then you have everything you need. And then everything falls in place. And that's all I could say, because that's the true meaning of what we do. We're a family, a radio family. Come join us.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm going to wrap up here. Everybody, you can go and check out hamiltonradio.net. Is the app called, is it Hamilton Radio in the app stores?
We took it out of the app stores because we had a problem with Google, and we also had a problem with Apple. So what we did was we created our own app, and it's on our webpage. So you can download the app right from our webpage. It has Facebook on there. You can actually go to Facebook right through our app. You don't have to come off the app. You can watch anything on Facebook. In fact, if we were at the studio now, I could even put this show right on the Facebook app and the app on the radio station. So The technology is there for us, like I said, and we just have to gravitate towards it and use it, because this app is definitely going to do a lot more for us, because we have an event coming up, Joe, like you said, with your super podcast or whatever. We can pop that right on the app, and then people that on the app can say, oh, I want to hear this, I want to click on it, and instantly go click and listen. With Apple and Google, it's got to get approved, it's got to go through a 30-day process, and there's a lot of other things involved with it. They even raise some of their fees, and we charge nothing for the app. So if they download the app, I can tell you there's no spyware on it. It's a great app. We're redesigning it, and we're looking for coupons to go in there for different events or different contests. And, we do music trivia. We do a lot of different things. So come aboard, guys. I'm telling you, podcasters, you need to come aboard with us.
All right. So I got a sponsor I need to read. I need to remind everybody that on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, just a couple days from now, we're doing the free Super Entrepreneur Conference, 8 hours of learning and inspiration. If you go to superjoepardo.com/super, there is no sign up, no email address needed, none of that. It's streaming straight to YouTube and straight to Facebook. You can join the live conversation. It'll be going on from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern all day Saturday. I'm so pumped and absolutely looking forward to it. And this episode has been brought to you by Podbean Live. Podbean's live stream is a unique platform for turning your podcast production into a live show and is open to any podcaster on any hosting site. Easily invite multiple co-hosts and guests to join the live stream, earn money from live streams, show ticket sales, and get listener rewards, and engage your audience in new and exciting ways. If you're ready to get started, sign up today at podbean.com/live. That's podbean.com/live. Everybody, I hope you and your family stay safe. It's still social distancing time. I see even my neighbors are starting to take it seriously, which is good on them. It's about darn time everybody take it serious. And I hope everybody stays safe, especially you, Dotgie, because you're closer to the fire hose than I am.
No, you're right. Everybody stay safe. Just like do whatever our government tells you, and if they tell you to wear masks, wear masks. I think that's the next issue they're going to do, is they're going to tell everybody to wear masks, which is what I've been telling people for a long time. It's hard to hear under the mask when they're servicing you, but just be patient and wait your turn, and we'll all get through this, guys. It's just going to be maybe another couple weeks or a month, and then we're probably going to be out of here, and you won't even remember it. Hopefully not, I don't think.
Long term, probably not. It'll probably be a blip on the thing. Now, I mean, if this goes further than a month from now, I think it probably will be remembered for a while to come. But yeah, I think if we get out by the end of this month, which we may or may not, because I've seen some people saying the end of May, things have been pushed back to. So we'll see. I don't know, but I know one thing. I'll be here next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, with another guest. My guest next week is actually no, I don't have a guest for next week. I'm supposed to be announcing the Icon speakers, so I don't know if we're going to do that. If you want to speak at Icon 6, which is in Philadelphia area, September 24th to the 26th, you can apply at indiepodcon.com/apply. I think I might have to update the it says that it probably expired, or I might have pushed it back. April 30th. Yes. So you have until April 30th. So I will probably be back with a guest next week. I'm just not sure who that guest will be. So we'll find out probably between now and next week. But all right, everybody, take care, be safe, and go wear a mask. It'll make you feel better.